Hello and welcome to highlights of the final round of the 5th season of the HRZN Racing League from Abu Dhabi. I'm Chris, otherwise known as Screamlight, going to be taking you through the action at Yas Marina in a double points finale. But let's take a look at how the season has shaped up to this point. Your mate took victory in Portugal to put one hand on the title, aiming to be the first back-to-back champion in HRZN history, with close challenges from the Scottish and Tommy Ash beginning to fade. Your mate did take that victory in Portugal by 7.7 seconds from the Scottish. Bazza got driver of the day in 4th after a really solid performance, and Tommy could only take 9th after some technical glitches. That meant it was a 29-point gap coming into this round between I'm Your Mate and the Scottish, with Tommy just a little bit further back, but still just about in the hunt thanks to the double points available. In split one, I'm Your Mate still had the lead from the Scottish. Tommy Ash couldn't overturn that with double points, while Simon Bazza needed to score well to avoid relegation. In split 2, Senna was almost guaranteed promotion. Perpetual and Jimmy Alex were fighting over that second spot, and Davasaurus could also get involved with a solid result here. And in the constructors, it was almost a four-way tie with Ferrari, RB Williams and Mercedes coming into this one. Once again, double points could spell disaster for somebody having a bad result. But Yas Marina, the now traditional finale in the real world of Formula 1, was our finale here. A circuit that has changed a lot since its introduction. Let's take a look round a lap. It's a 5.281 kilometre circuit, 16 turns, 9 to the left, 7 to the right. Lewis Hamilton holds the record for most victories here with 5. While in HRZN, the Scottish took victory in Season 2 and Mansis took victory in Season 3. So this layout was obviously changed in 2021, a race I think all of us remember. But here we are, heading into a part of the circuit that hasn't really changed, the early sector here. Turn 1, you can get outside on the curbs, and make sure you try and clip the one on the inside a bit better than that. Don't run too wide, else you will get track limits. These curbs are deceptive. If you get a little bit caught on them, you can lose the rear end of the car. But now it's a straight run down into this stadium section rather than the fiddly little left-right chicane. Get nice and tight to the apex so you can slingshot your way out for this back straight. If you've got DRS, open it now, and you can be at absolute max speed by the time you get into this little left-right chicane in the second stadium section. Get heavy on the brakes. You can get really tight to both sets of curbs, but avoid the sausage curb on the extreme inside. And then once again, you want to get a slingshot out on a qualifying lap or defending. You'll be getting it to the extreme inside, heading down into the newly reprofiled turn 9, which is now this long left-hand hairpin. You're always waiting to just get on the power. Don't run too wide, else you will get picked up for track limits. Into the hotel section. It's quite a technical little one, this. You can get, again, quite easily drawn into the curbs, and there you're waiting to get on the power. You can run wide on entrance and wide through the next part if you're not careful. Heading now down into the final couple of corners of the lap, which are fairly straightforward right-handers, and then gun it to the line to finish the lap. So that was a lap of Yas Marina. Let's take a look at how the grid lined up for the season finale. I'm Your Mate took pole position from the Scottish, Six Pompano took 3rd, with Scornful Griffin, Senna, Tommy Ash, Vampire, Bazza, Andy and Dabasaurus rounding out the top 10. While Jimmy Alex, Perpetual, Rover, Bunny's Vengeance and Sproey, a late debutante, rounded out the full 15 to take the grid. So still a lot to play for in this final race. Let's get into the action and take a look at round 11. There's 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights and 5. And away we go for the finale at Yas Marina. Looks like everybody's got off the line pretty well. Bazza has moved forward. Scorn and Senna moving amongst each other, but I'm Your Mate moves into T1 in the lead. Senna around the outside there. We're going about 4 wide further back. Tommy's already up to 4th. It's a great start from the RB. He's up in front of Senna, but Bazza's trying to come around the outside of him. We've got a yellow in Sector 1. Somebody's off. Looks like it was Jimmy. Andy's down in 14th. We're with Bazza now. Looking at the inside of the RB. Trying to help Ferrari secure the constructors. It is Jimmy that's gone backwards. Mid-pack has all kind of shuffled. But here we are. Bazza still there. Vampire and Perpetual just behind. Let's ride on board with Vampire. Tries to go up the inside of Perpetual. Makes it, but Perpetual keeps the McLaren there. That's great movement. As Bunny and Michael there fighting together a bit further up. A bit further back, sorry. Dabosaurus goes past Perpetual. Great move there. Bunny's Vengeance is past Rover further back. The 2 Alpines. Or the 2 Alpine drivers. There, together on the road. 6 has gone past Bazza, but Bazza is all over the back of him.
Yeah, he probably rolled back a bit. Yeah, mine went 0.6 back.
So let's take a look at the start from Jimmy's perspective. Obviously has his incident at this point. Gets a decent run off the line, but Perpetual seems to already be catapulting up the inside of him. You'll see that there's a brief thought about going through the middle of the McLaren in the hat of Andy there. As Andy gets pushed wide, there's a little bit of contact. Gives Bunny's Vengeance the opportunity to come up the inside, and 3 into 1 just doesn't go. Jimmy comes off worse, gets on the power to try and get going again, and loses the rear once again. Bad start for Jimmy.
I was smashed into and spun.
We'll see that from Andy's perspective as well. You can see that Dabosaurus has already gone past him, and there goes Perpetual. Just nudges Andy wide a touch. You can see Jimmy with the contact there, and as Bunny comes across, he just drifts wide. Jimmy's sandwiched. There was no further action from the stewards on that one, just a lap 1 T1 instant. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. We're going to jump into quite an extended couple of clips from 6, who had a fair amount of action happen at the start of the race. Bogs down off the line, unfortunately, and you can see that 6 Pompano's on his inside, Senna on his outside, and he's already lost 2 positions off the line. Runs very wide and allows Tommy Ash through, who's already going past Scorn. You can see they make a little bit of contact. Bazza also making a lightning start a bit further behind him. He's passed everyone almost down into the hairpin. 6 comes back at Scorn, who has, as I say, pushed a little wide by Tommy a little earlier in the move. But the Aston Martin stays and stays and stays until eventually ceding the position about halfway down the back straight. 6 now has a run on Bazza as he gets into the chicane. You can see where the clips split in the middle there. Bazza almost outbreaks himself, but then gets very, very loose off the corner, which gives 6 the opportunity to go round the outside through this little kink there. And by the time they get into turn 9, 6 is through and at least back up to 5th. We'll see the start from Bazza's perspective here as well, because as we saw on board with 6, he made a lightning getaway. He's already got past Vampire. He's looking around the outside of Tommy into turn 1, backs it off just a little bit, which gives him the opportunity to find a bit of space. There's 6 going wide to the right hand side of us. There's Tommy and Scorn having their little bit of contact. Bazza now finds himself in P4, though Tommy will go late on the brakes into the hairpin and sweep back around the outside of the Ferrari. But it was a good start for Bazza, even with what happens with 6 just down at the end of this straight.
Yeah, he probably rolled back.
Yeah, mine went 0.6 back to 7.
Here we are with Tommy as well off the start. You can see he gets a pretty decent start off the line. You can see 6 is bogging down, and Tommy really just holding his position, but as 6 goes wide there, he's got the opportunity to take the run at Scorn, but you can see the car not turning as they just connect a little bit. Baz will now go round the RB, heading down towards the hairpin, but late on the brakes, around the outside. A really good move by Tommy there to regain P4.
God's sake.
And we'll have a look from Perpetual's perspective as well, a little bit further down the field. Gets a pretty good launch, although starts really getting a bit of wheel spin in the second phase. He's already, though, up the inside of Andy into turn 1. That forces the Haas wide and everything goes on behind him. But as everybody else kind of comes together up ahead, Perpetual is past Dabosaurus, who's also been run out wide, and then into the hairpin, almost 3 wide with Vampire in the middle. Swings round the outside, gets a really good slingshot, and he's past Vampire off the hairpin up to P8 Perpetual. Really good start, but Vampire will come back at him down the back straight. Just ERS at this point really being used, but as you can see, Vampire just sneaks up the inside. Perpetual holds the line though and is almost able to come back at him. Vampire though just gets ahead. As the Scottish has taken the lead in the middle of all that melee up at the front. So Scottish from I'm Your Mate Senna there in third. Perpetual going past Dabosaurus further back. DRS is now enabled. This is where it starts to get interesting. Senna though right with them. He's really very much in amongst this fight for the lead. And that would be a real classy way there to absolutely get himself promoted to split number 1. Scorn goes past Bazza a bit further back with the DRS. No other moves being made into the chicane apart from I'm Your Mate taking the lead there. Dabosaurus and Perpetual switching places as Sprite makes a bit of a move on Bunny's Vengeance. Let's move back to that one quickly before we head back up to the start at the top, because the Scottish has moved back into the lead. Bazza and Scornful Griffin going side to side into the hairpin. I'm Your Mate seems to have held the Scottish, or has he? No, they're still side by side. Into the hotel section. Senna just watching this one, waiting for his own opportunity. But the Scottish maintains the lead at the end of the second lap. These two going to go hammer and tongs as Rover goes past Bunny. Perpetual goes past Dabosaurus further back. Let's jump on board with Bazza here up behind Scornful Griffin in the Aston Martin. He's almost pushing him out of that chicane, and the DRS is super powerful here. Scorn stays to the inside to try and defend, but starts to move to the racing line. Bazza spots the opportunity, goes up the inside, and he's made the move before they reach the exit. Great driving. Tommy's already back up to the back of this little pack. So the top 3 in the championship are within the top 4. Senna in the middle of it, trying to get promoted to split 1. Andy goes past Bunny's Vengeance further back. Those moves being made are really vital to avoid relegation, because at the moment Bazza is in P6 and would be what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th in split 1 for points. That would really catapult him up. Here we are with Bunny's Vengeance. He's behind Spro8 and a couple of others. Nearly goes into the back of the Red Bull. Gives Rover the opportunity to go breezing past him, but is being super cautious through these last couple of corners as he heads into the final corner of the lap. You can see that they're all still stuck together just up ahead of him, and he allows Andy past after a little bit of a kerfuffle earlier on. Good driving. Michael moves past Dabosaurus into 10th. The guy in the Red Bull there is flying as we stay on board with the Scottish. Dabosaurus fighting that move back. Dabosaurus very much not wanting to give this one up. Perpetual's just in front of them as well as the Scottish, and I'm Your Mate going side to side into the hairpin again, and I'm Your Mate cuts across, but he's run it wide. Scorn and Bazza fighting behind as well. We'll go to that in just a moment, but the Scottish has lost the lead. Andy moves past Rover. Michael moves past Perpetual into 9th. He's already into the top 10. That's an absolutely flying start from the debutant. All on the same piece of tarmac. Six Pompano just a little bit further back, but he's got a little gap to Scorn, who's fighting with Bazza and Vampire. And then it's a clutch of cars all at the back. Jimmy a little bit further off the back of the pack as Andy moves past Dabosaurus, round the outside into turn 1. Great move from the Haas. Dabosaurus gets on the curb, and that's cost Rover a position. Bunny's Vengeance goes past. I'm going to move to the battle for the lead in just a second, but we'll watch Bunny into the hairpin. He backs out of it, doesn't go for the move. But let's go right to the front of the field, because the top 4 all holding position at the moment, but we're with Senna in the Sauber. It's as close as he's been to a race lead all season. Baza goes past Scorn. Perpetual goes past Sproate. Gotta get my words out. Again, the top four. We've got the Scottish trying to go around the outside of I'm Your Mate into the hairpin. Can he hold it? He's going for it, but he's not quite made it. I'm Your Mate gives him just enough room as Baza's going backwards. We've got a yellow in sector 3. Let's ride on board with the Haas. A couple of passes to keep you up to date on there. See, Davasaurus gets wide out the final corner, which gives Andy a great run into turn 1. And he will sweep round the outside. Davasaurus thinks about holding it, but is wise enough to back out. And let's also take a look at what happened between Baza and Scorn. So Baza goes up the inside into the chicane. Scorn not able to hold it on the second part, but knows he's going to have the DRS now. Heading down into the hairpin. Baza stays to the inside to try and defend from the Aston Martin, who will now go to the outside to try and make the move. He comes across and there's a bit of contact. Baza goes sideways as Vampire goes past, but is able to get back up and running again. Unfortunate for Baza. And the Scottish in the lead of this race again, but he's going to have I'm Your Mate for company pretty much instantaneously. Senna falling just a little bit off the back of them, but will still get DRS to fight this one back. They all concertina into the hairpin. Tommy almost getting up the inside before they've even got to the DRS zone. But let's look at the 4 of them going into the chicane. We've got a yellow in sector 1. I'm not seeing anybody going backwards, but I'm Your Mate round the outside. Tommy cannot get on level terms with the Sauber though. Let's jump aboard with Jimmy Alex into turn 1. He's all over the curbs there, gets on the curbs to the outside, spins it into the wall, and he knocks the wing, and then he's trying to make enough room here to spin the car back around, damages the wing furthermore. This will lead to him heading into the pits eventually to retire the car. I'm Your Mate and Baza scoring well for Ferrari as Bunny goes past Perpetual through turns 1 and 2, or does he? No, Perpetual comes back at him. Bunny getting a little wide there. He's trying to stave off relegation from split 1. Like I say, everybody's just kind of settled down a touch. Jimmy choosing not to come in. No safety cars as yet as Senna and Tommy. It's a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting for Sproate as Scottish gets past I'm Your Mate and into the lead. Rover and Dabasaurus switching positions. Baza up to 7th. Or is he? Scorn, Baza, Andy, Sproate all fighting together. Bunny's Vengeance goes past Perpetual. Dabasaurus goes past Rover. They're all swapping positions further back. Baza here really trying to get past Scorn. I think he might actually have the pace on him, but the DRS is super strong as we've got a yellow in sector 1. Here we are with Tommy Ash heading down towards the chicane, chasing down Senna in the Sauber. You can see that Tommy gets up the inside, and there's a little bit of contact there. Did go to the stewards. It was deemed no further action on that one. There was just enough space for Tommy to maybe go to the inside, and there was a fair amount of space for both of them, but unfortunate to have that incident in the first place. Let's ride on board with the Aston Martin of DJ Davasaurus here. He's got Rover chasing him down, who fakes to the outside and then jumps to the inside and makes the move into the chicane, but the shallow line and clipping the curb causes him to just overshoot, gives Davasaurus the opportunity for the old switchback. Brilliantly executed by the Aston Martin, but they're side by side. Now Davasaurus' DRS puts him in front of the Alpine. Good move by Davasaurus, and then it's just about trying to hold Rover off into the hairpin. Now Rover does get his nose up the inside, and it looks like they're about to go side by side into the hotel section. Davasaurus though holds his line on the inside and keeps the position. Great driving by the Aston. Here we are in the pits with Jimmy Alex, and we're about to see the cause really of what led to him to retiring in the pits. Leaves after a front wing change, and as soon as he crosses the white line, gets on the power, car spins, hits the wall, and it catapults him back onto track, which is what the yellow flag came from. Jimmy now quite a distance off, knowing he needs to go and get another front wing. He will eventually pull the car in and unfortunately retire from the season finale. Now, looks like Jimmy's had an issue. He's way off the back. Has he come into the pits? No, he hasn't. No, he's lost it. There he goes. Jimmy, very much like Portugal here, having a bit of a time of it. He's basically got no front wing left as the leaders come up behind him. It's going to give the Scottish possibly a bit of DRS as well. Jimmy ghosting. Will it give the Scottish DRS? Let's have a look. Yes, it will, but the DRS is super powerful for I'm Your Mate. You can just about see the Ferrari there. The Scottish, though, saved by the DRS there, I think, as Tommy tries to go around the outside of Senna into the chicane. Jimmy's in amongst all that as well. Doesn't help anybody. But Tommy surely now has got the run on Senna, and he does. He's into third as I'm Your Mate trying to go around the outside at the hairpin. The Scottish will hold the inside. I'm Your Mate looking really leery, under power. Back with the Tommy Ash Senna fight a little bit further up. You can see Senna going to the inside to defend from Tommy. Although, much like the Rover Davasaurus incident, Tommy can enact the switchback. Maybe not immediately, but as soon as the DRS hits, you can see Senna lost the rear coming out of the chicane. Tommy will get by and up into third place. So the battle for the lead is the battle for the championship. Although the Scottish would really need I'm Your Mate to drop like a stone as Jimmy retires in the pits. So it's done and dusted for Jimmy's season as I'm Your Mate. DRS open wide. Sprite goes past Andy further back, but I'm Your Mate takes the lead. Andy, though, fighting that position back down the straight. Bazza there as well with DRS. Andy's going to try and go up the inside of the Ferrari. Bazza didn't have DRS, actually. Fallen out of it. Andy goes up the inside of Bazza. Senna goes back past Tommy further up. Bazza might lose another position to the Red Bull here. He's going to try and use Andy as Sprite goes past all of them. Him and Andy touch. And they're all off the road. Andy goes backwards. Bazza goes past him.
Followed you there, Scorn.
Here we are with Andy in the Haas. You've got Bazza and Sprite just behind, and we're going to see what leads eventually to Bazza retiring in the pits in this finale as well. Andy without DRS. He's got Sprite to the outside, and there's contact there. He pushes the Red Bull. Bazza gets into the back of the Haas, and Andy tries to get out the way to let everybody go, realising he's caused the incident there. We'll see it from on board with Bazza as well. You can see here, Andy's gone up the inside. The DRS super powerful down these two straights. Tries the switchback but doesn't quite make it, but Sprite, you'll see now to the right hand side, gets such a catapult out of the chicane that he's already by Bazza, who's not able to catch up to Andy. Sprite will also go past the Haas, but Andy will brake just a touch too late and go into the side of the Red Bull. Bazza hits the back of the Haas and tries to follow him through, but does eventually get let by Andy. Bazza, however, maybe feels he's got a little bit of damage. As Sprite spins, Bazza can carry on and regain 8th place for now. As 6 is now in the battle for second. Look at that. We've got a 3-way scrap. And Tommy's gone from second after the pit stop for the Scottish down to 4th. And 6 has moved up to second. What a fantastic move for 6. But I'm Your Mate now is a bit clear in front. Senna's going to try and come back at the McLaren. He's got Tommy on the outside as well. There's a tap. There was definitely a tap. As Tommy tried to get on the brakes with the cars around him. But Senna now moves into second. Tommy round the outside here. Vampire's in that fight as well. There's contact. A little bit of carbon fibre. And 6 has gone from second to 5th in a couple of corners. The Scottish is already back past Andy. as Bunny's Vengeance had got past Andy as well. I'm Your Mate is now in the pits. The Scottish has already passed Bunny's Vengeance as well. The Scottish is flying. He might actually take the lead here.
I'm thinking about pitting.
Back with the Tommy Senna battle here, and Tommy gets very late on the brakes, clips Senna, nearly puts him into a spin, but Senna now loses ground to both Six and Tommy. Both of them, though, alongside the RB as Six goes by. Tommy backs off to allow Senna to retake the position.
I've let him pass, to be nice.
Brake mark. Oh, great. Look,
You can see, though, that Six has got himself very late onto the brakes here, and now has both Senna and Tommy for very close company.
Oh, I'm safe then. Lovely juggling.
Senna to one side, Tommy to the other. There's a little nudge there, pushes Six forward, but Senna goes up the inside to claim P3. Tommy now will try and go round the outside of Six into the hotel section and does so. And if you look in the mirror there, you can see Vampire's now got involved with this fight, getting side to side with Six, but Tommy somehow manages to maintain third. And we'll see that from Six's perspective as well. You can see there goes Senna, and Six is now through the middle of the pair of them and up into P2. Heading down to the chicane, you can see just gets a little bit too wide, hits the brake marker board on the outside and then brakes too late into the corner. Causes him to overshoot, gets a little kick of oversteer on exit as well, which is going to leave him very vulnerable to the guys behind.
Oh, well, I'm safe then.
Somehow
Lovely jubbly.
doesn't get past until right into the braking zone and gets nudged by Tommy. Ends up going just a little bit wide.
Go on.
Senna up the inside, Six,
Go through.
leaving Tommy the opportunity to go by here, not perhaps realising that Vampire's right there. He comes around the outside into the hotel. They clash, but neither gets damage. Vampire, though, up the inside under the hotel.
That's a shame because I need you to go and get scored because he's opposite.
Here we are with Bunny's Vengeance. Another little battle on track that raged for quite a lot of the race, with Andy in the Haas, Petrol just in behind. Andy gets a little bit deep into the chicane, which gives Bunny the opportunity to get up the inside on exit, uses the DRS to his advantage, and cruises past the Haas.
My tires feel like worse than when I started.
However, the Scottish recently pitted, means that he is now up alongside these guys, swings immediately up the inside, catches Bunny by surprise, and takes the place from him.
Oh, we suck.
Just about got into that second margin. He's catching up to Scorn, who's kind of living his best life on his own as Vampire. Tommy and Senna all in the pits. Tommy's going to try the pit lane pass again, and he makes it. So let's see that pit entry from Senna's perspective as well. We've seen it from on board with Tommy. Gets the exceeded track limits glitch that you get sometimes on the entrance to the pits, but as you can see, Tommy goes flying on by. There is a bit of contact, however, the stewards deemed no further action. Tommy's done that a couple of times this season. It's just opportunistic overtaking in the pits. But the Scottish goes round the outside of Scorn into turn one and takes the net race lead. Scorn, Bunny's Vengeance, Andy, Perpetual all still need to pit. Tommy obviously has jumped Senna and Six, who are basically out together, but Senna just in front. Six, though, you feel is going to immediately try and make the move around the outside of the hairpin. Both of them very much in their own fights at the moment. Senna, guaranteed promotion. There's absolutely no way he can be overtaken, especially not with Jimmy no scoring, as Six goes past Senna. I'm Your Mate goes past Scorn further up.
Pit stops, let's go.
Look at the pit exit from on board of Six Pompano here. You can see that the Sauber and the McLaren phasing through each other, and Senna very wide just as he exits from the pits. Six thinking about a move into the hairpin here. Gets halfway alongside the Sauber, but realises he can probably switch back. Goes for that exact move, but Senna has a great bit of traction off the corner. Both of them have got DRS But Six, just with a little bit more power, a little bit more speed, goes at the inside of the Sauber, down towards the chicane. Move made up to P9. As Perpetual goes up the inside of Andy into the hotel section, this little 3 scrappers, Dabasaurus nets a penalty. 6 Pompano now nets a penalty as well. This little 3 scrap, which has a Sauber, an Alpine racing as a Sauber, a Haas and a McLaren about to be joined by the RB, McLaren and Sauber behind, who have pitted and are on an absolute stormer. Here we are with Andy hunting down Bunny's Vengeance, got Perpetual behind him. Bunny nice and tight through the hairpin at 9.
It's crazy because this is my.
But Andy then
sector and I
just sticks with the Sauber.
Sorry.
And then sees a gap, thinks about it, brakes late, nearly goes into the back of Bunny's Vengeance, and actually gives Perpetual the position. Talking of which, here comes Tommy. He's right up behind Andy. Andy, though, defending him hard. Got his own battle to think about here. Nearly goes into the side of the RB. Doesn't, though. And Tommy's through, and he'll be on Perpetual like a shot as Six and Senna go round the Haas, who appears to who needs to pit. But Tommy's going to have to make a 2 pass into the chicane. Does he make it? No, he does make it past one of the McLarens, though. He makes it past Perpetual. Six has gone round him as well. They'll both be trying to hunt down Bunny's Vengeance. Senna's gone past Perpetual. This little clutch of 5 cars, 2 McLarens, 2 Saubers and an RB. Bunny's Vengeance is just holding the line at the moment. He's the cork in the bottle as Senna and Six go side to side. Tommy almost past Bunny's Vengeance. Not quite yet, though. Six up the inside of Senna. They all somehow survive. I've absolutely no idea how they're keeping out of the side of each other as the Vampire is in. So let's look at that multiple overtake from Tommy. You can see Andy's defending from the RB into the hairpin, but Tommy round the outside, not for the first time today,
And I've got wing down.
And gets the traction brilliantly off the corner to get past the Haas. He's now chasing down Perpetual just up ahead. These guys yet to pit, but Tommy, of course, has already been into the box. Sees up the inside, Perpetual is on. And much like the Senna incident earlier, gets very close to the Sauber, but this time survives. Both of them, though, getting a bit of drift off the corner. Six has gone past Perpetual behind, as has Senna. So now Tommy needs to make moves and get past Bunny's Vengeance.
I'd have gotten there,
nearly into the back of the Sauber because Bunny is on very warm tyres. Tommy goes for the switchback move, and he's up and alongside Bunny's Vengeance. Bunny's still holding it on the inside, but doesn't have the tyres to do so. Tommy round the outside. Brilliant move. And we'll watch it with Six as well, because he had a little bit more trouble. Goes into the back of Andy as he was fighting with Tommy, who then clips the wheel of the McLaren. But both of them getting away without too major an issue. See, Senna's gone past Andy just behind us, as Tommy goes past Perpetual and nearly goes into the side of the Sauber. Perpetual, as he has done a couple of times this season, plays a little bit of a team game for Six and lets him easily take the position from him out of the chicane. Six now following the two up ahead. He's getting the double DRS effect, but decides to back it off to try not to have any major incidents ahead. Senna, that means, comes up the inside in the Sauber, and Six now loses a position, but he goes late on the brakes, goes up the inside of Senna, who's still there at this point, and they're still fighting through the hotel section. Six has to back it off. Tommy leads the way, and Bunny's Vengeance, who's not actually a Sauber driver, he's an Alpine driver, has got the other Sauber behind him. But Senna goes past him. Is Six going to make it out the inside at turn number 1 as well? Yes, he is. Bunny eventually backs out of it. I think he knows it's better for him, as Scorn is also in. As Scorn goes past Perpetual and Bunny, who are both in the pits. Dabasaurus with another penalty. Vampire goes past Six further back as I'm Your Mate once again shows the nose, but doesn't make the move. Rover with another 3 seconds as Andy goes past Perpetual while he's in the pits. Or does he? Perpetual might actually jump him on exit. He does, at least for now. We'll check that fight out in a second, but I'm Your Mate round the outside of the Scottish and into the lead as we go to Andy and Perpetual into the hairpin with Bunny's Vengeance just ahead of them. It's Rovers just behind them. We've got the DRS open. Vampire goes past Senna a little further up the road. Andy, though, up the inside of Bunny's Vengeance, and he's through into 8th. Some 8 seconds off scored. So we've got, very much like last time round, we've got a couple of small pockets of battles. As Bunny goes back past Andy with the DRS. And Perpetual's going to try and go there as well. Andy really extreme inside. That's going to compromise his exit. There's contact, but Perpetual's through. And onto the back of Bunny's Vengeance already. Here we are with Perpetual, Bunny and Andy. These three fighting pretty much all the way to the end of this Grand Prix from this point. As you can see, Bunny's gone past Andy. Perpetual tries to do the same around the outside at the hairpin. Takes a real curved line to get round the Haas and immediately thinks about a move on Bunny's Vengeance. Backs out of it possibly sensibly, but at least has taken one position. I'm Your Mate looks one way, looks the other, doesn't make the move, but should do now with the DRS down into the chicane. These two, both champions previously. I'm Your Mate looking to become the first back-to-back Horizon champion, and that's currently what he's on for. He goes round the outside into the chicane. The Scottish locks up, doesn't make any contact, fortunately, because they both locked up. But the Scottish now will have the DRS into the hairpin. I'm Your Mate just holding the inside line. Just defends beautifully there. And the Scottish has to settle for second for now. Scottish and I'm Your Mate. Scottish now trying to go around the outside into the chicane. Will ride on board with the Williams. Clips the sausage. Nearly loses it. Gets right up alongside the Ferrari. Who's going to have the DRS? Neither of them? Did neither of them get DRS? I don't think either of them did. I'm Your Mate super late on the brakes to fire a car back at the inside. Senna and Vampire still fighting away. The Scottish with the switchback, but I'm Your Mate's going to have the inside line into the next corner. We'll stay at this camera angle because I want to see what happens as the Scottish makes his way through. The Red Bull had backed off to let them through. Heads up driving when getting lapped. I think they both really just want to win the final race, regardless of what it actually means for the championship. As I'm Your Mate goes around the outside of the Williams, the Scottish tries to hold it on the brakes. He's back up the inside. There's contact there, I think. Maybe only a little bit, but enough. As the Scottish now has DRS. I'm Your Mate holds the inside line. He's going to force the Scottish round the outside into the braking point. The Scottish just tries to hold it all the way around. And the Scottish does. He's going to be on the inside for the next couple of corners. Really great driving by them both. I think they're enjoying this, you know. Genuinely think they're having a lot of fun with this out there. As Perpetual goes past both Andy and Bunny, or does he? Andy, Bunny, Perpetual. That fight's still raging on, those three. Perpetual does look to have made it this time now. Back with the Bunny, Andy, Perpetual scrap. Perpetual currently at the back of this little trio. However, the DRS, double DRS effect once again, super strong. He's up the inside of Bunny well before the braking point, and he's alongside Andy into the chicane. Manages to give the Haas the space, nearly loses the rear on the exit. He's made the place. A 6 Pompano nets the fastest lap at 25.1. He's got involved in this fight as well. Let's jump on board with 6 Pompano after his late race pit stop. You can see he's behind the Andy, Bunny, Perpetual scrap, but sees an opportunity here heading into the final sector. Goes right up the inside of Andy. There's a little bit of contact, but no damage to either party. And he starts to follow Bunny's Vengeance through the hotel section. Perpetual leading this little gaggle of cars at this point. However, into the final corners of the lap, 6 has such a tyre offset that he goes up the inside of Bunny in the final corner. Brilliantly done, and claims the fastest lap of the race. 2 overtakes in the final
sector to get fastest lap.
Doesn't try and go up the inside this time. Will go up the inside though there, as I'm Your Mate ran a little wide, but again he'll just have the inside and be able to defend it here. The Scottish tries another switchback. He keeps the nose in. They manage to not make contact. These two producing some fantastic racing between them. So Scottish will have the DRS. Let's ride on board with the Williams. Is he close enough? Is he close enough? He goes for the move into the chicane. I'm Your Mate can just hold the brakes so much later. Remains at the inside. The Scottish, though, swings around the outside in the second part. But I'm Your Mate's going to have the DRS now. Can the Scottish defend? No, he can't. That's how powerful the DRS is here. But I'm Your Mate will run a little wide, leave the door open. The Scottish will fight him back now. The shallow line, the Scottish once again has a little think about the inside. Doesn't make it. I'm Your Mate keeps it to the extreme inside. Can the Scottish outbrake him? No, he can't. But will he try the cutback? Does try the switch back, but I'm Your Mate positions the Ferrari right in the middle of the road. Again, he'll take the shallow line. These two barely separated. I'm Your Mate. I was going to say, I'm Your Mate's going to have to make sure that he knows that Williams is there. These two now side by side. These are places you don't go side by side very often. The Scottish trying every line he can. I'm Your Mate gets wiggly on the power. We're only a few laps away from the end of the season. Bunny, Andy and Perpetual continue. The Scottish now, though, with a 3-second time penalty. Went a little too soon into that corner, bounced over the curb. Here we are with Bunny's Vengeance. He's the head of the queue at this point. Andy goes past him, heading down into the chicane. Perpetual will follow through there as well. However, Bunny gets on the brakes early, takes a nice shallow line into the chicane, gives him the opportunity to slingshot back past Perpetual. He'll get the double DRS here as Perpetual goes across to defend, nearly makes contact, but Bunny doesn't get into the back of the McLaren and at least regains one position.
The fact that you can run so wide out there and not lose the car is the same.
And the time penalty now, unless I'm Your Mate, drops out, falls all the way out the points, falls to the back of the points. This championship is all done as the Scottish goes for a late braking manoeuvre into the chicane and goes around the outside on the exit, but that's going to mean that I'm Your Mate's going to have the DRS back at him. Even the Andy Bunny's Vengeance Perpetual battle seems to have settled down as these two go side by side once again, and I'm Your Mate retakes the lead. Side by side into the final corner. They're going for a drag race over the line. It's lap 26 of 29. I'm Your Mate holding the lead at the moment. But barring investigations, and like I say, I don't think we're going to be seeing very many, if any, incident reports at the end of this one. We are currently looking at the top two in the championship as the top two on the road. In fact, the top three in the championship, top three on the road as well. I'm Your Mate is going to leave the door open there. With Scottish's penalty, you know, he doesn't have to fight too hard and just has to avoid picking up his own. But as I said, I think they just want the pride of being the winner on the road. The Scottish putting the Williams just where he needs to, just to try and hold the championship leader off. The tyres are falling apart on them at the moment. The Scottish maintains the lead through the hairpin with just a couple of laps left on this one. We're starting to get a picture of guaranteed results as Perpetual and Bunny switch places a bit further back. The only guarantees we currently have, I believe, are Ferrari constructors. Syme and Baz are relegated from Split 1. Senna promoted from Split 2 with Perpetual. Back once again with Bunny's Vengeance in the Andy Bunny Perpetual scrap. In the middle of the three this time, Bunny, and he gets the DRS on Andy. Closing, but then Perpetual faster, boxes Bunny in a little bit. Perpetual goes past, and then has a little bit of side-to-side with Andy. A little bit of contact gives Bunny the opportunity to go flying past both of them and moving up to 8th place. The race has really calmed down now. It is really just these two out on track. Perpetual, Andy, Bunny, still sort of having a little scrap as Ivy Mate goes back up the inside of the Scottish Rover with another 3-second time penalty there. The Scottish not giving that one up this time. And Ivy Mate does eventually get around him. Vampire goes past Senna. That wasn't a battle I was expecting to still be happening as the Scottish goes round the outside into the hairpin. Ivy Mate just holds the car there. Dabosaurus with another penalty, but the Scottish takes the lead. Once again, just 2 to go when they cross the line, including lap 28. Senna gets a 3-second time penalty now for track limits warnings, as Andy goes past Bunny a little further back.
Over it now, he's done a bit of a switchback. I'm using all
This
the
time we're on
DRS.
board with Andy. You can see that he's got the DRS and he's using all of his battery to get past Bunny into the hairpin. He's round the outside. There is a little bit of contact and you can see the hat wiggles. Andy manages to survive and gains 8th place back
So what was that?
in this little scrap. But we're on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix, the penultimate lap of Season 5 and the penultimate lap in F124 in sanctioned league races. We'll be looking very much at F125 now when that drops and how that one goes. As I'm your mate and the Scottish once again to go side by side. The Scottish super late on the brakes, trying to hold the position. I think he was behind at the detection point as well. Who gets the DRS? Neither of them, by the looks of it. Scottish up the inside. I'm your mate tries to hold it round the outside at the hairpin. They're still side by side. It's been corner after corner, lap after lap, and I'm your mate up the inside there. And the Scottish still there. These two producing some fantastic racing to end the season. Andy Perpetual, the only other real close... Well, Andy Perpetual and Vampire Senna, the only real other fights out there at the moment, as I'm your mate looks to the outside at the chicane. Scottish brakes late, locks up a little bit, compromises his line, and the catapult, the absolute slingshot there as the Scottish moves across. They're weaving away, clips his front wing, but he knows this race is done. He knows the championship is done as well. We'll stay with these two to the line. I'm your mate will be Season 5 champion. Wasn't involved in any incidents. I can't see that he'll be getting any incident reports against him. I'm your mate will round the final couple of corners. He will become the first back-to-back Horizon champion. He takes the Season 5 championship. The Scottish finishes second and will take second in the championship. Tommy will take third on the road and third place in the championship as well. Senna is fourth, although his time penalties are going to drop him behind Vampire, so he'll finish fifth. Vampire will finish in P4. Scorn, kind of out on his own a little bit in P6, had a fairly anonymous race. 6 is closing in on him at the moment, but he will fall. He will stay behind him regardless. Scornful Griffin finishes 6th. 6 Pompano takes 7th in the McLaren. Andy will take 8th ahead of Bunny's Vengeance and Perpetual, the battle that raged for most of this race. Although, no, Bunny backs off, lets Perpetual through. He finishes 10th then Bunny. Dabosaurus will take 11th. Rover will take 12th. And Sprite has finished in 13th a lap down. Bazza and Jimmy Alex, the only people to get a DNF. But I'm your mate is Season 5 champion. What a race that was to end the season. Let's take a look at the classified results from round 11. I'm your mate takes victory and driver of the day from the Scottish with Tommy Ash in 3rd. Vampire, Senna, Scorn 6th. Andy, Perpetual, Bunny, Rover and Dabosaurus finishing off the points. Bazza and Jimmy Alex, the only drivers not to finish. But that means that I'm Your Mate takes the championship in Season 5 by 44 points from the Scottish, with Tommy Ash in third. Vampire moved up to fourth. I'm Your Mate also takes Split 1 by 53 points from the Scottish. Tommy Ash is in third, with Vampire fourth, Scorn fifth, Bunny sixth, and Andy finishing at the top 8. Simon Bazza will be relegated to Split 2 for Season 6. While Senna and Perpetual move up to Split 1 for Season 6, Dambosaurus actually takes third from Jimmy Alex, Rovers in fifth, Lil Reeves, Mr. Pickle and Mago, rounding out the 8 drivers in Split 2. Ferrari also took the Constructors by 60 points over Williams. RB slipped third in the final round. Mercedes are fourth, with Sauber, Aston Martin, Alpine, Haas, the reservists Horizon Racing taking 10th, and Red Bull Racing finishing bottom. That was Abu Dhabi. That was Season 5, Round 11, and that was the end of a great season. Thank you so much for watching the highlights all the way through. We'll see you in Season 6. Like, share, subscribe, do all the good stuff, and take care of yourselves.